Hey, welcome back, guys. I'm Nate Miller, and this is Paul Gibbs, and we're from NoteSpire Music, and we are talking about songwriting.
Yeah, great topic for a lot of us. Music is, of course, one of those great gifts that God has given us, and songwriting for many of us is a part of that gift. And we need to recognize, I think, that it's of course if it's part of our purpose, isn't it? It's we like you can't not do it, and it's our passion, but it's also a craft, and as a craft, as a skill, it's important to work at it and make it better, and all with the purpose, of course, of using our gifts to glorify God who gave us the gift, and also to draw people closer to Him, and including sometimes ourselves. Yeah.
Right, so this is episode 3, and we're talking specifically about music styles and genres. This is part of a series. We've talked earlier about song structure, and then we handled melody and harmony. And this one is where you guys are going to start to get to be like very creative and show your kind of individual personality in your music. But you're also going to see, as we talk more about style and genre today, that all the things that we talked about before are pieces or elements of this. This stuff all builds on itself. And we should probably reiterate that, again, songwriting is a huge topic. We mentioned that it's a craft that you're going to continue to work on and to hone your skills. We can't possibly cover every aspect of each one of these subjects, but we hope to give you guys a couple of basic ideas, maybe things that you haven't thought about before, or if you have, a new way to look at them to improve your songwriting. So let's jump into song genres and styles. So what's the difference between a song genre, a style, or a type? All those words, they sort of overlap a little bit. They each have their own connotation, but basically we're talking about styles or categories of music. If you do a quick online look for what are the styles of music or how many styles of or genres of music there are, you're literally going to find hundreds of them. It's actually kind of overwhelming. There are some main genres of music, and then there's a bunch of subgenres. So if we take pop music, for example, you have everything from your radio pop or your bubblegum pop down to like acid pop. I have no idea what acid pop is or why you'd want to listen to it, but there is such a thing if you're into that. So, needless to say, there's hundreds of genres and subgenres within each one. You have everything from like jazz, funk, metal, hardcore, dance, EDM, which is electronic dance music, to classical music, to even children's music. But we want to focus in on maybe some of the main popular genres that you're probably more familiar with or interact with on a general basis. So we'll be talking about mainly focusing on rock, pop, country, bluegrass, R&B, which is rhythm and blues, straightforward blues. There's also rap and hip hop and folk music and maybe instrumental music we'll talk a little bit about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why are we talking about these genres or styles of music? What's the important part of that? It comes down to the fact that when you choose the style of music that you're writing, there are certain characteristics or musical conventions for each one of them that are going to dictate what you're going to write in terms of melody, harmony, the rhythms that you're going to use, and also the instrumentation. So let me give you a real basic run through. If you're talking about rock music, you're going to have your basic 5-piece band.
Right.
So it's going to be rhythm and lead guitar, most likely electric. You're going to have bass, drums, keys, and then your vocals. Pop music, similar setup, but the drums will probably be a drum machine or pre-programmed drum loops. Keys will probably be more of a synthesizer. So there's a little bit of variation there. If you get to rhythm and blues, it's going to be more keyboard driven or piano driven than guitar. But you still have bass and drums are prominent in there. When you get to rap and hip hop, they sample a lot of pre-made music. So a tune from somebody, a pre-existing song, and they sample that and they play it repetitively in the background. And again, drums, pre-programmed drums are really popular there. Folk music, you might just have somebody on guitar and a vocal. So each one of these has its own kind of characteristic sound and types of instruments that you use. But what is the main question that's going to drive all that? And I think that is
What instrument is being used to write the songs, or what instruments, for example? if you're writing hip hop, pop music, you're probably using a keyboard, and you might start with that rhythm. You might punch up a rhythm, and you're writing to that. If you're writing country gospel, for example, country Christian music, whatever, then you're probably writing with an acoustic guitar. That's probably, in fact, if you play an instrument, that's probably your main instrument. Maybe you play other ones, but it's good. It's that acoustic guitar that's kind of driving that song. It's the prominent instrument. If it's rock, well, you've got your Strat or your Telecaster or maybe your SG or your Les Paul, and you've probably got the distortion box cranked up, and you're writing with that. It's a style. It's a style. Other styles, maybe jazz, for example, would be written with piano.
Right.
Or possibly maybe you've got that Les Paul. Maybe you got that nice jazz or not something jazzy with the guitar. But and it kind of goes without saying, but I think we'll say it anyway, that you're writing your music for a particular audience.
Right.
If you're writing country, I mean, it's obvious. If you're writing country gospel, then hip hop, the hip hop audience is probably not going to listen, or maybe if it's your favorite aunt, she will once, but you're not going to be listening to that. So you're writing to a certain audience, and we'll touch again on that later. I think we can touch here on length. Certain songs, if you're writing and you want your music to be on contemporary radio, for example, you want to keep your songs to about 3 minutes. And maybe we're getting off on a tangent here, but we'll just touch on this. Don't write a 6-minute song if you want to have that song played on radio. There are exceptions to the rule, and I just want to, being a child of the 70s, I want to make sure I touch on these. Hotel California by the Eagles, for example, one of the greatest, one of the great songs that they had, in a rock classic, that it was 6 minutes and 30 seconds long. Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin was even longer than that, I believe. Light My Fire, the album version by The Doors, was again really long. But anyway, keep the length in mind, right?
Yeah, a lot of times what you'll find with songs like that, now those songs might have been played whole cloth or like the full length on the radio. If there are longer versions, sometimes they'll do a radio edit where they actually cut part of the song out,
Right.
And then there's the album version. So
Yeah.
you always have that liberty if you want to write a bigger or a longer song.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we mentioned like, say, that country music as an example, and we're talking about styles and like writing when you pick a style, and we'll pick on country music here for a minute just to give you guys a good, clear example. See, when you pick a certain style, like say country, there's a typical type of melody and harmony, rhythm and instrumentation that you expect. So for country music, probably is going to be driven by acoustic guitar as your main instrument. There's certainly electric guitar and keys and stuff in the background, but if you're a country artist, you're probably up front with that acoustic guitar, maybe even a 12-string guitar, and that's your main instrument. You're writing the chord progression on that. There's also some other instruments that you would expect to hear in country music. Everything from slide guitar, maybe lap steel guitar, a dobro, fiddle, or maybe even banjo or mandolin.
Yeah.
Those are things that you expect to hear
Right.
in that style of music. And that's why we said there are certain musical conventions. When you pick the style or the genre of music that you're writing for, you need to learn what's expected to be heard from instrumentation. But not only just instruments, you're also writing for the vocals. Again, using our example of country, when you hear country music, you expect to hear a little bit of a vocal twang to the main vocal. That's a character of country music where that's expected, but you would be surprised if you heard that somewhere else.
Right. And you may be writing the song. You may not be. You may be a great singer, or you may not be. But you may not be. You may be the songwriter, but not the producer. So these are things to keep in mind. You may not. The producer may decide, okay, what instruments are going to be used, and things like that. But as a songwriter, you need to be aware of these things up front. That whether you or this may help you to move from songwriter into a you being able to produce your own songs as well.
It's interesting you picked up the producer aspect of that, because here's a good place to talk about, a song that was originally written in one style and was picked up by a different artist
Yeah.
or produced in a different way.
Right.
So again, let's take a song that was written, let's say, maybe it was a pop song. There's a lot of country pop crossovers, but maybe someone wrote a song as a pop song. It's played on the radio by a well-known artist, and then a country artist picked that up. Either they or the producer is going to give it a country flair. They're going to change the vocal, give it a little bit of a vocal twang. They're going to add some of these country style instruments in there, slide guitar and other things in the background, fiddle, that weren't in the original pop version, but they countryfy it, for lack of a better term. So that's a way to take something and stylize it in a different genre. So again, like Paul said, you might write in one style, but a producer could take that and totally morph it into a different style.
Yeah.
Understanding these musical conventions.
And keep that in mind, you songwriters, that you may want to try that.
Yeah, it's a great exercise.
Take a song that someone else wrote in a certain style and maybe rework it a little bit. Yeah. Now your melody needs to keep in mind that a melody needs to fit the style of the song as well. Now, as you're writing melodies, that needs to work with the style. The melody style that you write for hip hop, for example, or a pop song, might not be the same as for a country style, for example. And we touched on the instruments that were used, that will be used. Also, the tempo. What's the tempo of the song that you want to write? Is it a faster tempo? Then that melody is going to maybe move a little faster with shorter notes. Where a slower song may have longer notes or held out a little longer and drawn out. The range of notes too, how high and low it goes, will have something to have to fit in with the style as well.
Right, we touched on that a little bit on the previous video when we talked about melody and harmony, and that fits perfectly with this. A rap song is very rapid fire, syncopated rhythms, and a lot of information coming at you in the lyrics very quickly. So there tend to be more lyrics in those songs, so the melody has to be quicker. Whereas maybe a rock ballad will have fewer words, but the words are held out longer for effect. So again, these things are all stylizations depending on what type of music that you're writing for, what genre. These are all things to think about in how you're expressing the message behind the song. What style is going to fit your message better, or be more fitting. And there's different ways you can actually take something that doesn't seem to fit, like kind of an outlier, and use that to great effect. But those tend to be the exception more than the rule. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit. Another aspect is song structure, which we've talked about before, but for the style of the type of music. When I think about blues, there's a style of blues called 12-bar blues. Very typical style. And actually, this has been pointed out as one of the most popular chord progressions in all of popular music. It started with blues, but has influenced certainly blues-based rock and even pop music. And this is one of the reasons why in Western music we have so many variations on a theme. So, in the Western scale of music, as you get into music theory, you'll find that we really only have 12 notes to work with. Yep. There's only so many chord progressions that you can come up with, but we seem to have endless combinations. And that's because even within the same chord progression, you have different melodies, different rhythms, different harmonies, and different instrumentations. So you could take the same 4 chords and literally pump out hundreds of songs and never repeat yourself.
You want a couple of examples of this?
Yeah.
I'll give you a whole bunch. Well, again, being a child of the 60s and 70s, learning songs, learning how to play the guitar way back then, and you can go. We'll go back here a ways, but you can find examples more modern too. But there was the oldies progression is what it's called now. In C, in the key of C, it would be C, A minor, F, and G. A variation might have been C, A minor, D minor, and G. And so many songs. I'm just going to give you a list here. Were written in with that same 4-chord progression. Dream, Dream, Dream. All I Have to Do Is Dream by the Everly Brothers. Blue Moon, Dream Lover, Run Around Sue, Sherry by the Four Seasons, Duke of Earl, Earth Angel, Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow, Teenager in Love, Last Kiss, Santa Catalina, In the Still of the Night,
wow.
the Beatles, This Boy, and that's just the tip of the iceberg with songs that were written in the 50s and 60s with that same basic 4-chord
And yet
progression.
they're all different and unique.
They're all different. You've got some of them were written as just solo, one melody, one singer. Other songs like, for example, Sherry, the Four Seasons with that 4-part harmony. It just goes on. So don't be afraid to take a chord progression and modify it just a little bit. Use it. See what you can do with C, A minor, F, and G, for example. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. One of the ways to learn songwriting or to get better at it is to take a look at what's gone before you, especially a song that's already established and successful. There's a reason that it's successful. It connects with people. It resonates with them. And if you can take that formula, so to speak, and learn from that, like reverse engineer it, tear it apart. Why does this work? Why does this connect with people? Again, it's not copying. It's not stealing someone else's work necessarily. You're just learning from it. How did they use this chord progression? Like Paul said, he gave you 10 or 15 examples, and that doesn't even scratch the surface.
Yeah.
We had that same phenomenon today with the 4-chord songs. There's hundreds of songs that repeat the same chord progression, but they have unique melodies to all of them. So it's a great way to learn how to write songs by following the example or the pattern of the people that have gone before you, but making it your own, adding your own unique spin or twist to it.
Yeah.
And
there's so much you can do.
yeah,
It
it's
really
crazy.
is.
It still blows my mind that we're coming up with unique melodies. Like you would think we would run out by now,
I know it.
but we haven't.
We haven't. Go back. Here's another challenge for you. Go back to one of those songs. Take Run Around Sue, for example, by Dion, or Blue Moon by whatever. How many different
Remember
groups
all these
record?
old songs.
But yeah, or This Boy by the Beatles. Take one of those songs and then speed it up or slow it down.
Yeah, there you go.
Take it out of some of those songs were written in straight 4/4 time. Some were written in 6/8 time. Take one that's in 6/8.
Change the time
and
signature.
change the time signature.
Or if it was a guitar song, play it on piano instead.
Yeah. So great exercises for that. Take some lyrics that maybe you've got and put it to one of those chord progressions. Yeah. The sky is the limit. It really is.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up. I'm thinking of Ryan Tedder, the lead singer for One Republic. He said one of the ways that he learned to write hit songs was he would take a song that already, like I said, was already proven. It was already a hit song. He removed the melody and the lyrics, just took the chord progression because he knew that it worked already.
Yep.
And he wrote his own melody to it and created his own lyrics. And he had his own hit song that was unique to him. And it worked. And he knew it was going to work because it already did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might want to mention the song that you just wrote. Speaking of 4-chord progressions.
Oh, yeah. So the 50s song you're talking about? So, so that would be Salvation Belongs to Our God. And, that when I wrote that song, it was a typical 50s style guitar progression. And
oldies progression?
Yeah, the oldies progression. I almost didn't do anything with it because it was too cliche, but we decided to embrace it and just run with that. And we stylized the song to be a 50s style doo-wop song, and now it's out there for the world to hear. And it's another one to that arsenal. It's unique. The melody's unique. We kind of used some conventions from some other 50s style songs that we heard as examples, and we made a modern 50s song.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
Check it out online. Just Nate Miller, Salvation Belongs to Our God. Yeah, check it out.
It's out there on Spotify.
Yeah, check it out. Anyway, we want to give you an example of what we do here.
So another thing to think about, we hit on this in a previous video, but another thing that dictates the style or the genre that you're going to write is this a performance song versus a participatory song? And that's just like, are you just a single performer or a band and this is just you performing? Or are you writing a song that you hope people will sing with you or sing on their own? And sometimes that's going to dictate
Yeah.
the melody, the complexity of it, the range, the key, the style itself of the song. Is it going to be more simple, more complex, more of a sing-song type of thing? Or is it going to be just kind of crazy and avant-garde? You know, there's so many different ways to look at that. But that all goes back to, like you said earlier, who is your audience? Who are you writing for and
Right.
why?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. When you're talking about your audience, let's touch back on that just for a second here. When you're thinking about what style that you want to write in, think about the audience. The message, first of all, there's a message in the song that you want to write, and you want to get that message across to your audience. And the style of the song, the genre, is kind of like the language that they're going to hear it in.
It's a good way to put it.
Your country country audience, they're going to respond, if you will, to a song written in the style that they like. The hip hop is going to be a completely different style, but they're going to hear it in that. That's what they want to hear. They won't necessarily listen to a country style. More of a rock style, they're going to you talk to them in that language. So think of your style as part of the language that you're speaking to your audience in.
That's a really great way to put that, and I think that dovetails with what I wanted to say next, and that is to remember the purpose behind your song. Someone once said, I don't remember who this quote came from, but it said, music is what feelings sound like. So when you're writing a song, you're expressing a certain message or feeling or emotion, especially if you're writing, I shouldn't say that, instrumental music is very expressive too, but if you're writing lyrics, there's a message behind that. There's a purpose behind those lyrics. And you're stylizing your music to express the meaning or the message that you want to get across to your audience, whoever that is. So when you're writing a song, think about what are you expressing behind these words and why? Why are you have something to say. People need to hear what you have to say. So first of all, what are you saying it? Why are you saying it? And how are you saying it? And that is going to help you to stylize your song. But always remember those things. What am I saying? Why am I saying that? And then how am I going to say it?
It's good. Yeah. Very good. Very good. And just to sum it all up, as I started in the beginning of this, music is an awesome gift that God has given us, and we have we have the responsibility to use it. I think,
and the privilege
of using it. Yeah, that's great. So we get to use this awesome gift that we have to express the message that God gives us.
Yeah. So again, these are just some basic concepts we threw around for you guys on style and genre. Again, obviously not exhaustive or comprehensive, but we hope that it gave you some ideas to spark some creativity, maybe some new avenues to explore on your own and experiment with. And again, if you guys have more questions or you want us to go deeper into subjects or a specific aspect, let us know.
Yeah, we'd love to help out. If you need help arranging, you need help, whatever, we would love to answer your questions and go a little deeper into any of these subjects about the songwriting that you would need help with. So.
And we have a future video coming up, right?
We have a future video coming up, one more, and we're going to be talking about lyrics. Yeah, unless you are an instrumentalist and you don't write lyrics, you just write instrumentals, this one will also be for you. Yeah,
that's right.
So we're going to be talking about lyrics and how to match them to the genre, match lyrics to the melody, how make it all work together. You know, the melody can be just as important as the lyrics. It all has to work together. So we'll talk about that, how to make that help your songwriting as well. So until we see you again, please do take care of yourselves.
And take care of each other.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.